Hey guys, it's Diana Flowers, aka Rose, and I'm super excited for you guys to hear this interview I just did. I have partnered with Taboo Johnson Creative Collective, and we brought you this amazing interview with Dayna Stephens. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and if you do enjoy it, make sure to subscribe, follow, this, that, you know the drill. So, bye. So why don't you just start with saying who you are and like where you grew up?
I am a saxophonist, composer, and thinker, amateur on the side of amateurish. Anyway, my name is Dayna Stephens. I'm from San Francisco, California originally, but I live here in Paterson, New Jersey for 20 years and 9 months now, actually. Very long time in this apartment. And as I said, I'm from the Bay Area originally. I went to school at Berklee College of Music, went to the Monk Institute, which is now called the Herbie Hancock Institute, but that was at USC. And I've been here ever since.
Nice. How did you realize you were Dayna Stephens?
My mom kept calling me this name when I was growing up, and
I guess
I
that's
guess
it.
that's me.
Right. How did you realize like who Dayna Stephens was sonically and your sound, and you're like, oh, I think I am Dayna Stephens. Like,
Still
I
figuring
think
that
this is
out, to
what.
be honest. Still figuring that out. I mean, I recognize my habits and my intentions and my tendencies as a musician, but I'm still discovering things I like about music and trying to make those things a part of myself, or develop a better relationship with those aspects of music. So.
Yeah. Do you go through like different phases where you're really into like a specific sound or something?
Yeah,
Like, what are you in right now?
I'm really into electronic music.
Okay.
So, and they come in waves depending on sometimes what projects I'm a part of at the moment, or what my schedule might even allow me to to be into deeply at that
Yeah.
moment. But at the end of the day, they do kind of mold and mesh together.
Right.
So one minute I might be listening to an old track from the '60s, a jazz record, a Blue Note record perhaps, and then the next minute I'm listening to something extremely modern, like Robert Glasper or something like that,
Right.
which is sonically extremely different.
Yeah.
So, and then I might be listening to Bach or something, which is, it's all over the place.
Right.
So,
So when you say electronic, you have your Iwi, and what else do you do that's like electronic?
we'll have a keyboard back there with about, I don't know, 9 or 10 pedals on top of it.
Right.
And there's pedals actually even underneath it that you can't see from here. I'll if I'm not careful, I'll spend hours just playing with sounds
Yeah.
on that keyboard before even touching a saxophone or a bass or anything else. And then listening to a lot of great electronic music as well. But really trying to find a sonic palette that I can play with, and I'm in the midst of creating a solo project that's mainly electronics, but some acoustic mixing. Honestly, it's going to be what it's going to be.
That's
I'm
super
not
cool.
even trying to plan out too much how it's going to be.
Yeah. So like, there's like musicians and artists, and it seems like you're the type. You sound as like different colors, sort of like a painter with paint. So, do you like how do you view that when you start to compose or when you start to make something? Is there anything that you do to get into that headspace where it's like, okay, it's time for me to like create?
Wow, there's nothing I really do to prepare myself. Oftentimes, I like spontaneity in general. I mean, that's why I like jazz, because it allows for spontaneity in the music, improvisation, and all this. But sometimes it might be just I'm listening to a track and then I'm like, okay, that's really inspiring me to create something that's similar, but you know, something that's inspired by what I'm listening to, or I might just wake up and I hear something and with no prompting at all. Sorry, that's
Nice.
It's usually never on. So yeah, the inspiration could come from nothing at all or everything. It could come from a mood. It could come from the loss of a loved one. It could come from boredom.
Right.
So I've written out of all of those moods and situations. So
Yeah, good. So the next question kind of leads into that. Do you think your style has changed from when you were 18 composing versus now? Like, how has life made you do music differently?
Well, I think in general, an often common trajectory for creative musicians is they learn the instrument or the craft first and the technical aspects of it, and then life gives all that technique context to write with, if that makes any sense. The technique is one thing in itself, and it can be very flashy and what's the word? Jaw-dropping, like impressive.
Makes people think that you really know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Okay.
on a technical level, but you can have a lot of technique and still not tell a story, right? So I think the art of storytelling comes from, well, having a life,
Right.
right, and paying attention to things outside of just the technical aspects of music, right? Bringing in your own life experiences, however you might categorize them as happy, sad, whatever, but some kind of emotional content and some kind of illusion of beginning, middle, and end, and taking someone on a journey. And that journey can't be just based in technique. Oftentimes, we have music that leans more towards technique, but and music that may lean more towards storytelling and not as much technique. But at the end of the day, it's a healthy mix of what the artist feels as technique and story. And I tend to want to. I think the older we get, it becomes more story oriented in general. So how's it affected me? I mean, I've had many reasons to embrace gratitude. So I have a record called Gratitude for that very reason. I have a record called Peace. I have a record called The Timeless Now. And many records that actually are hitting on that theme of timelessness. Another one called Today Is Tomorrow. Another one called Right Now. Right. Another one called That in a Pathetic Place. And they're all stories, really, context of what was happening at that moment. Also documentation of where I was as a musician, but also more so a documentation of the story and where I was conceptually at that time. And also kind of what I want to remind myself to think about in the future. Like The Timeless Now was my first record, and it's something that I think could often be forgotten when in the midst of day-to-day life. So when I think about that record, it's like, oh yeah,
the time is now.
Exactly. So that's, I'm trying.
Yeah. Is there any song that comes to mind that like you really like is like a specific thing that happened in your life that you wrote about? Or like your favorite one that really you were like, oh, like this is exactly what happened in my own life, and I was able to transmute that into exactly what I wanted it to be. Like, is there anything like that that is like very specific of an experience that happened to you when you wrote about it?
Yeah, a lot of songs I'm trying to think of which is the best example. The one that's coming to mind is Once Upon a Time Is Now, which is kind of like the title track of that record. And it was kind of a dark period for me, actually. It was Christmas Eve 2003 when I wrote that record. Actually, it used to be called 2003. And it was just not a good time.
Yeah.
For whatever, and I can't even remember the specifics of what was going on, but I just remember being in a pretty dark place. And that song came out and kind of brought me up because it was about this timeless realm. I have many songs about people that I know. I'm thinking of one song in particular, Ran. People think it's about, I think there's a movie called Ran, or I don't know what. I've had people think it's something about something else, but it's for a friend of mine called Randy Norman, who's a great friend, film producer as well. And she's just been a big supporter of music, of not just myself, but my friend Taylor Ikesy as well. And she's just a really inspiring person. And we had a conversation one day. Actually, that one happened to be my birthday, and like,
oh wow,
this is 2018, I think it was. And I wrote that song, and it just wrote itself in like 30 minutes. And it really didn't take long to write that song. I've since kind of tweaked it for different arrangements, but it's the meat of the song is what it is. So, and then the whole album Pluto Juice, which is, many people don't know that record, but it's a whole electronic Iwi record. That was all about not being on Earth.
Oh yeah.
Everything about it, just like escapism.
Yeah.
You know, I almost want to call it escapism jazz, escapism electronic jazz. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's. I try to be honest and authentic to what the moment is trying to birth through me.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's awesome. Yeah. Nice. Can you talk more about the electronic escapism? Like, what does that mean to you? Like, when you say you wished you weren't on this earth, like, in what way? Like, you wish you were an alien? Or...
Well, I think we're all aliens, but that's another story.
Another conversation.
Just wanting to have, a greater perspective than what we're limited to on this planet. But also wanting to partially escape the craziness that we deal with the fragmentation of our species, which seems to be perpetuating itself in dangerous ways at this point. But also, I always often think of Carl Sagan talking about when that, I don't think it was Hubble, but it could have been Hubble, was way out there in the ether, and just, it was by Saturn or whatever it was, and it turned back at the Earth, and it was just a pale blue dot. And I think of the Earth in that perspective, and it's like, it's a comforting thought to me, also very scary, because being out in the middle of space like that would be extremely lonely. But to be able to, like, if we could snap just for a second and really
take a step back,
really see the perspective, and then like the super bird's eye view of the universe, and it just, to me, it brings me peace. I mean, I like astrophysics. I love listening to people way smarter than me in that world talk about that world, or our world, or our universe, our existence. So anyway, yeah.
That's awesome. Now, when you're on the bandstand with musicians and you feel very connected with them, and you feel the soul, you feel like you're really in the groove, whatever, do you feel like the audience is normally connected with you, or do you feel like it's so hard for them?
It's different every situation. And it's and it almost doesn't even matter the genre or what style of jazz, one might say, or music I'm playing, right? I play in this band called the Lux Quartet with Meyer Melford, who's an amazing pianist, and Allison Miller, amazing drummer, and the formidable Scott Colley on bass, right? And it's heavily avant-garde. And we play many places. We played Dizzy's a few weeks ago. And it's one might think that it'd be very weird for even just a non-musical audience to hear this and be involved, but it's very few gigs I can think of, or honestly I can't even think of one gig where the audience wasn't completely engaged with everything we're doing from beginning to end, which is in my mind, I wouldn't think that would be the case. I think people would be like, "This is way too loud. I'm going to leave." This is kind of interesting, but people are, and we're going for it. I mean, we're taking it out, and meaning this time we're all in different times at some point, and we're really thinking of energy and melody, and there's obviously interaction, but we don't even know what's going to happen in the songs that, in the middle parts, especially, or the improvisational parts, or even sometimes the melody parts. We don't know what's going to happen, or if it happens at all. Sometimes we end up not playing the melody of the song on the way out or the way in. It's this organic, and maybe that feeling of us also not knowing is contagious to the audience. I have no idea what it is, but I get more engagement with that group than sometimes I do with very easy spoon-fed beats, like very easy listening music. So all that to say is every gig is so different, and the energy is always so different. Playing at Smalls is going to be very different than playing at the Village Vanguard. They're 2 blocks away from each other, but the audiences are quite different. Playing at Dizzy's, right, it was getting more of a tourist crowd. Like half the crowd has my first jazz show.
Right.
It's like, whoa. And, when the Lux Quartet played there, we had an article in the New York Times, people came out, so we had full house. But we could tell half the people had no idea what they were in for. And by the end of the gig, they were like, standing ovation. Oh, big time. I was very happy to hear and feel that. So,
do you think that music sometimes gets more engagement from the audience because it mimics nature in a sense, it mimics real life?
I don't know, and I don't want to know. I say that because I always have a fear of codifying anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, we've all heard the situation, we get this slamming record, the first record, and they're like, "Oh, cool, let's do a number 2 of this record." And the number 2 is like, "Oh. A
little bit of a never beat number 1, right?"
Just go for something new.
Yeah.